Hey everyone, thank y'all for joining us for a Beef Brunch news update. We have made it to April, so this is for Tuesday, April 1st. Trip is on the side of the road, so we're going to let him go ahead and do his update first. Trip?
Hey, everybody, thank y'all very much for having me. Now, I actually kind of exaggerated a little bit. I'm not on the side of the road. I did manage to find a parking lot, but I am somewhere in the Northeast region between A and B. I'm traveling over to Winsboro for our Master Cattleman class that we've got going on. This is our fifth week of Master Cattleman for the Northeast region. And guys, we've been having a great time. If you haven't gone through this program yet, I can't encourage you enough to look forward next year whenever we have it to find one in your area. It's a lot of great information from a lot of great speakers. And it's a great time to get to network and develop some relationships over 10 weeks with producers in your area. Overall in our area, it's pretty varied as to what's going on. In the west side, over in the hill country, we're looking pretty good on the moisture front. Ryegrass is growing well. You couldn't ask for much better springtime conditions over in the hill country. I've always said that we need a rain about every 2 weeks, especially this time of year whenever the ryegrass is pulling so much moisture out of the ground. And we've been getting those timely rains. The ryegrass has been adequately watered. There's been fertilizer applied, and we're coming into a period of very accelerated growth, especially with these warm temperatures that we're seeing. Once again, pretty well statewide, one thing we always run into this time of year is overgrazing and also undergrazing. We're hitting a time where the ryegrass is growing faster than some people's cattle can keep up with it. Just be aware that if you don't get it clipped off or keep it clipped off coming to the end of this month, you could start seeing some grass heading out and playing out on you, and then your spring grazing will be done. Over to the east side of our region, there's some areas that are fairly waterlogged. We've gotten a good bit of rain here lately, and there's some areas, the low-lying areas, are pretty spongy. But now some of your higher ground, it's looking nice. Like I said, you couldn't ask for much better springtime conditions than what most of our area is experiencing. A lot of our row crop guys have been blessed with some good weather getting in the field, and we've got the majority of the corn crop in the ground across Northeast Louisiana. And once they get that in the ground, they'll be shifting gears towards their other crops and also kind of putting some focus back on their cattle operations. Spring works are marching along across the region, and we have pretty well wrapped up our calving for the springtime. And we made it through our calving season, spring calving season, with a little fanfare. No stories of any major incidences. It was pretty standard, But that's about all you can ask for. It's pretty normal run of weather, pretty normal set of conditions to operate with. Guys, that pretty well has it wrapped up for the Northeast region.
Thank you, Trip. Be careful driving the rest of the way. We will go ahead and turn it over to Brittany.
You almost muted me.
Sorry, I know I did. It's a habit. Go ahead.
Luckily, the last time we filmed and today I get to be with Ashley in person to do that. So I think most of us have heard by now, at least where I live, probably about 2 miles due east of where I live, we did have a tornado touchdown early this morning that was confirmed to be an EF2. This would be in the northwestern St. Landry Parish. So there was some damage in that area. Luckily, it didn't stay on the ground for too long or move too far, but there were some people that experienced damage, and I definitely heard lots of reports this morning about some trees down in different areas and whatnot. I would say about 4:20 this morning, it was pretty scary, and I'm sure Vince got the weather. He's a little west of me, so he got it, a little before I did. It was very scary. So just, as a reminder to people, if you did experience that very extreme weather last or this morning, throughout the day, whatnot this morning, make sure y'all go out and just kind of ride and check fences and that sort of stuff, and check to see if you had any damage. Because even if you didn't have a tornado that was close by, there still were some very strong winds that came through, as well as hail in some areas that we heard as well. So just, be mindful of those things, and we hope everybody is okay from those storms. As far as just what we're seeing in the field right now, just there's, yellow flowers everywhere you look, right? We just have an abundance of buttercup in fields right now. I've also been noticing some fields that they don't have cattle now, where I've seen a good bit of thistles that are in there too. So especially the thistles, we want to make sure we are, taking care of those early, because once those start to seed out, and those seeds can spread very quickly, and then it'll just be a continuous problem. So just, do what you can there to, address if you have some thistles, make sure you address that pretty early as well. We also have, I know Trip mentioned ryegrass there. We do, of course, still have some people with some ryegrass. And I have talked to a few people that they do plan to bale the ryegrass. Just with the abundance we had last year, I had some people bale it, just as dry hay, and then some as baleage or haylage. So if you do plan to bale it as dry hay, just make sure y'all are checking the moisture levels on that. As we know, ryegrass can tend to be pretty high moisture, and we don't want to bale when it's above, at least 20% moisture, I would say. So you don't want to get, that can end up in a dangerous situation. So make sure y'all are checking the moisture before you go ahead and bale that ryegrass. We also have lots of people in the area that are, working cattle this time of year as well. So have a lot of people that are working cattle this time as well. So good luck to all of you that are doing that. And of course, just our conditions right now, after the rain that we had this morning, there were some areas that are flooded. If you got some low-lying areas in your pastures and whatnot, you may see some of that underwater right now. So it may be some time before you can get in there. But just, if you have enough pasture, try to move your cattle, away from those areas that they tend to congregate at, so you don't just add more and more mud in that area, and try to keep them out of those areas, so you're not just ruining the forage there. I believe that is mostly what I have for now, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Vince.
Thank you, Brittany and Ashley and Lee. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. And Brittany alluded to some of the weed issues that we're seeing in pastures, and it's been so wet. Honestly, we just had got to a point where it was dry enough for folks could get out and possibly start making some herbicide applications. But it's unfortunate in a lot of cases that the buttercups have gotten so far out of hand. We've got such an abundance amount of clover that the amount of 2,4-D it would take to control the buttercup, it's going to have some adverse effect or some negative impact on our clover. So it's kind of a wait and see game, and get the bush hogs going and try to knock some of that down and get it out. I've seen a lot of curly dock here lately because people can't get on their pastures and get that mowed down. So that reseeding, or that situation, it's in a seed state right now, along with the bull thistles. So it's just going to be a continuation of problems. If you can get out there with a UTV or ATV type sprayer and start knocking out some small acreage, it's going to help and make a difference. So if you can take that matter into your own hands and be set up to go as when we know something, we're already April the 1st, and it's going to be hot in May, and things are going to be out of control. The rain was serious, as Brittany alluded to earlier. This morning we got right at 5 inches in areas, some areas more. With some areas Saturday, a little bit south of us along I-10, they got up to 12 inches in one spot. I talked to some rice farmers this morning south of the Eunice area. We have young crops out there and trying to get going, and some of those crops are just inundated. So as far as the pasture conditions, as Brittany alluded to, if you can move those cattle to higher pastures in the short run till the water goes down, it's definitely going to alleviate some potential issues that you might run into. We were fortunate enough, Brittany and I both, to visit or listen to Dr. Mike Strain Saturday night at the St. Landry Cattleman Association, and he stressed the importance of vaccines and working our cattle timely, putting that blackleg vaccine in them, the clostridial vaccine, and also the tetanus vaccines. Some of our calves are getting big right now, so you want to make sure that you got the tetanus booster in there to make sure if you're going to knife castrate, or more so if you're going to ban them. It's a more serious situation to have that, make sure that they have that tetanus version of a blackleg or clostridial vaccine. So he stressed the importance of that, and he kind of covered, the avian bird flu and the issues and the way that is transmitted. Was quite interesting. Not such a threat in Louisiana at this point, but it is a national threat to some degree in the dairy industry and possibly moving into the beef cattle side of things, but not as serious as the news might make it sound. So that was quite interesting to hear his talk, and it's always good to hear those things firsthand. He also talked about branding your cattle and theft. Take every precaution that you can to make sure that your investments are secured, whether it be your cattle or equipment. Things are quite expensive these days, and to replace a piece of equipment, Lee can tell you how those things can be quite costly, whether it's a tractor or a baler, and you see some of those things on social media that every so often a tractor or tractors are missing or stolen. It's unfortunate that we have people in our society that will do those kind of things to the farmers that are trying to make a living. So with all that, just keep that in mind. It's going to be time to work those spring-born calves, and hopefully we get some better drier conditions soon in our part of the world. But it's going to get hot probably before it gets drier. So that's the unfortunate thing. I see cattle went home, grab a bite for lunch today, and cattle are looking for shade trees. The sun came out, and it's a lot of moisture on the ground. It gets, the humidity builds quickly. So those bulls that are taking a break right now before spring breeding turnout, make sure that they're comfortable and at close proximity to a water trough and have some shade. Because the conditions as you get central and south Louisiana, things go south quick. As Tripp always likes to mention that we're only one rain away from a drought in North Louisiana. We're just 2 or 3 days away of sunshine and hot weather to get that humidity level up that makes it uncomfortable here. So with that being said, when you can get on those pastures and make those herbicide applications to clean some of the weed issues that we have, I'm sure horse nettle is, if it's not emerged, it will be emerging, and that's probably one of our biggest challenges is to take the horse nettle out of our grazing lands and bitterweed or sneezeweed as that starts to emerge following the buttercup. So it's going to be some vigilant and some undertaking here moving forward and being progressive and taking care of business, because it'll be time to hook the bush hog before long and take care of business. So it's about all I have for this week.
Thank you. Lee, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ashley. Very glad to be with you all here today. I'll tell you, I'm sorry I missed the last news update. I go back whenever I miss one of these things and listen. I always learn something from these folks, and I always learn some lessons there. And I picked up on a couple of things after listening to it. One, I talk too long on these things, so I'm going to try to dial her on in and dial her back. And I see Vince nodding his head, so he must agree with me, sure enough. The other thing is Ashley gave the market report last time, and I like the way she did it better than I do, so I'm switching the way she did. Anyway, no, anyway, I need to be more concise. My problem is when it comes to cattle and forages, and we don't talk much about horses on here, but on those subjects, I can talk to a stump until the stump rots down on it, and so I have to learn to temper myself a little bit. Tripp gave an excellent report as always, and a lot of what he said is applicable to the northwest part of the state as far as the weather goes. It's awful soupy out in these pastures, even in these hills right now. We have an abundance of rain with much more in the forecast to come. We've had a little bouts of severe weather. I know it got a little rough down in DeSoto Parish last night, but by and large, the night before last, excuse me, it's been fairly quiet as far as the severe weather front goes. Brittany and Vince, I can definitely sympathize with you all on those tornadoes and stuff. That's a scary deal to have. And I'll say this from a cattle producer standpoint: whenever you're dealing with a tornado, no matter where you live or what kind of house or anything like that you live in, it's a scary thing to endeavor. but it's whenever you have livestock and you walk outside and think, oh my goodness, how many cattle have I lost? Where are the horses at? The amount of fence repair that goes in it, because I don't care where you live in Louisiana, you got trees around your fence. That's just a part of it, unless you on your perimeter fence, usually you have some trees and whatnot. So it's just a fact of life, and it's a scary thing there. Tornadoes and hearts go out to anybody that's affected by those things. As what Brittany said with our Master Cat, our trip, or somebody said, I'm losing track here. I think we've got so many Master Cattleman classes, and we've got one in the Northwest region as well that's ongoing right now. And boy, what a great event. Really enjoy getting to know people. That's one of my favorite things. I try to sit in on those classes and I get the chance to visit and learn more about people in the region and whatnot in their operations. And going back to being able to talk to anybody about cattle, that's me. I love to sit down and talk to folks about their operations, learn just as much from them as they do from the class, I think. Talking about classes, got one coming up this week. Ashley and I'll be teaching an AI class at the Hill Farm. We're full up. We had a couple of spots open up, which is a little rare, but we got those filled. And folks, don't let that discourage you. We debate how much to publicize some of these events, and I tell Ashley, I think I'm of the opinion that we need to keep pushing them, even though they're full. Tell people about them, because you need to know so that you can get your name on the wait list, folks, and get a question or two. Oh, well, you need to offer more of those. Well, folks, you go around this news update and look at these folks' calendars and their schedules. Folks, it's tough to squeeze in more dates than what we already offer. Is that such? So if you're interested in AI, please give us a call and email, text, or something, and reach out and get your name on the waiting list, because we will have other opportunities coming up. Next one will be October at Dean Lee, and Ashley has the dates on those already, but I don't, so I'm sure she'll be glad to give those to you. Field day coming up, April the 24th. I know Ashley's talked about that on these before at the Hill Farm. Looking forward to a good talk, a good couple of talks, and we're going to end up the day on a demo on fly control. We're going to try some different products, and that was something as I was listening to everybody else's report, I did want to mention. The flies up this way are pretty bad for this time of the year. In particular, stable flies, folks. Whenever we think about fly problems on cattle, we think horn flies, and of course that's what's prevalent most months of the warm season in the South and in our part of the world. But dollar for dollar, and as far as aggravation, I would put stable flies up there pretty high, folks. And that's when you see those cattle bunched up in a wad this time of year. You look at them and you see a lot of fly activity on their feet and on their bellies, and there's not much you can do on treatment wise other than try to remove the habitat there, or try to feed those IGRs a little bit quicker, maybe start them a little quicker. But boy, I've seen some cattle suffering from stable flies in the last week or two, as far as that goes. Talked about the Beef and Forage Field Day. Got another event that has been publicized already on social media. I do want to make mention, because the plans are coming together on it, is our LSU Ag Center Hay Day. It's going to be held in Red River Parish on June 12th. I know that's a long way away, but just want to make sure people get it on their calendar. Calendars book up so quickly nowadays and everything. So jumping right into the markets, as far as it goes, it's been just a wild and crazy ride here the last, I don't know, it's been a long time here with the markets, and we just, every time you think you can't be bested on the market, or you'll reach a new high, and a new level will be reached. And I think the week before last, we saw that. We saw some record prices, I think, in Louisiana, and I think nationwide as well. And anytime, Vince will tell you, he's been in it long enough to know, anytime you see these nosebleed level prices, they bring cattle out. People say, oh, there can't be many cattle left in the country. Oh, yeah, they are, because they come out. And you think, oh, well, where are these cattle coming from? They're out there, folks. Now, not to the level that we think of, and maybe not as many as the market could stand, but they're out there, folks, and they're coming to town during times like this. And so I'll jump right into the market report. This is for the period March 17th through March the 31st. And before I give any numbers, I do want to make mention that my confidence is not as high as it's been being on these reports. I put it at medium, but maybe it needs to be low. Just a couple of barns didn't get data from. But I'll report what's out there, and it's good, of course, what's out there. So on the 500 to 600 pound steers, the average of the prices paid was $2.65 to $3.60. That's a 4.69% increase over the last news update. On 5 to 6 weight heifers, average of prices was $2.55 per pound to $3.29 per pound, a 6.18% increase. Cull cows, $1.16 to $1.56, 1.8% decrease, folks. And cull bulls, $1.29 to $1.86 per pound, 4.8% decrease. So when I said record prices, of course, we're alluding to these record calf prices, record calf and yearling prices. Cull and killing cows fell off a little bit. So I talked to a gentleman that buys killing cows, and he told me that towards the middle to end of last week, they called him and told him to shut down, that they had received so many cattle from farmers that were selling directly, or cattle producers that were selling directly, that they kind of shut their order buyers down just a little bit. And so anytime you hear those things about cow plants being full or got a lot of cattle, you know that's going to negatively impact your killing cow and killing bull market. I just remind y'all the last time we saw killing cows and killing bulls fall, they picked it right back up the very next week. So also we're at record territory on these cull and killing cow prices right now too, as far as that goes. If you look at the number of cattle being sold statewide, we're not selling just a ton of cattle right now. Calves are killing cows are replacement cows, which I didn't report, by the way. Actually, I need to just let you do the market reports because I've already messed it up here. The average of the high price paid on bred cows was $2,841.67, and the average of the high price paid on pairs was $3,590 per pair, as far as that goes. Folks that get asked about direction of the market, you hear so many things and so many different reports, and I'll just weigh in with this. It's going to be interesting to see. Remember back a couple of news updates, I did speak about the fact of when the western markets start jumping in to get those those warm season grazing cattle put together. That's what's driving these prices right now, folks. Is these folks are trying to put together strings of cattle to turn out on grass. The next, I guess, activity I think that's going to have within the cattle market is going to have a big bearing on price that it's going to be interesting to see is when these ryegrass cattle start coming off here in the next month or two. When we start seeing those cattle hit, I mean, we were out west earlier last week and saw cattle coming off wheat pasture already, and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see locally what happens whenever those ryegrass cattle, wheat cattle start coming off, whenever that forage plays out there, seeing what happens there. The other thing that we're going to start seeing is these fall born calves. We know they're out there, those calves born in maybe even late August on some people, even though I don't recommend it on fall calving, but September, October, we know those calves are out there. We know they're on ryegrass right now, some of them. We know some of them are really gaining right now. Vince, it's not uncommon to see some 350 to 400 weights right now, maybe even north of 4. And I see Vince holding up 5. There may be some 5 weights on those early cattle that got on ryegrass. So those cattle are going to start hitting the market. Maybe not right now because there's a lot of forage out there. This time of year, there's a lot of forage availability, at least in my corner of the state. But what's going to happen is going to be interesting to see when those new crop calves start coming to the market and kind of see what kind of pressures that puts on the prices and supplies. So anyway, with that being said, I think I've covered it all. I've got more I could talk about, but a late New Year's resolution, I'm going to try to be more concise on here. Ashley, I'll turn it back over to you.
You are not allowed to give up the markets though. All I did was read off your pretty Excel sheet, and that was it.
It was a very nice.
It
Excel
was.
sheet.
We were very impressed by this. So I don't have a whole lot more to add from what everybody else said. Just in terms of the events, Master Cattleman's Dr. Hayes is going to be starting his next week on April 7th. So if we have any last minute registrations, you need to get a hold of him. His contact information's listed. And then again, Bradley Pousson will be having one over in the Cameron Parish area. That information, his contact information is listed as well. And then Lee mentioned our Beef and Forage Field Day at the Hill Farm on April 24th and the Hay Day on June 12th. And kind of what we see over the summer is more 4-H events and a lot of hay production. So in terms of our in-person event, we kind of wrap up and slow down ish for a little bit. I know as soon as I say that, everything gets hectic, but we don't have anything really planned out much further than that currently, but I will start getting you some of those fall dates soon, just so you can go ahead and put them on your calendar. As Lee mentioned, we keep an interest list on all these programs, so don't ever let that deter you. If you're interested in any of them at any point in time, contact me, and we'll get you on those lists. The AI school at Dean Lee will be October, what did I say, 15th through the 17th, something like that. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, 15th through the 17th, I think is what we're looking at for that. So with that, we will see you again in just a couple of weeks.